I'm getting blown now. I'm in my zone now.
Talking about humility. So yes, humility is basically about emotional neutrality. It involves you considering others more than yourself for the most part. Um, Not saying, well, I shouldn't say it that way. I should say it's not that you consider other people above you or below you at all. It just means that you're taking into consideration other people and not just yourself, if that makes sense. So you're not thinking that you're below anyone, but you're not thinking that you're, more important than anyone either. It's just like you're on a balanced playing field with everyone. Um, so yeah, it's all about growth. It's all about putting yourself on the same plane as another being. You see everyone as your peer, and it's important that you see everyone as such because we're all human. We all have different capabilities. We all have different reasons that we're here. Purposes and things like that. But just understand that you're valuable, and so are they. Oh my gosh! Hi, Chloe. What's up, Nick? Good morning. Good morning. So like I said, yes, everyone is your peer. Even from someone you would deem quote unquote important to the one that is least important in societal standards. You're just as valuable as every human being on planet Earth. It's about behaving and reacting from a purpose, not so much emotions. And when you're humble, it's important that you don't let your ego get um too large. You don't want your ego to come into play too much. You don't want your ego to come in at all, to be honest. That's why a lot of people find it hard to be humble because they have too much ego. And it's all about your self-esteem, because you have confidence knowing that you're capable, um, and that you can pretty much accomplish anything that you put your mind and your energy to. But it's always about not necessarily being a show off. You know how that goes. Where like it's great to know what you have going for yourself, as we all should. We all should know our capabilities. We all should know our talents and things like that. But for the most part, if you don't, then of course, that's work in progress. There are a lot of people who just don't know what's going on with them, and they don't know if they're capable or not, and that's fine. One day you will get there, one step at a time. But it's about showcasing that on a healthy level, especially if you're like a leader. I'm sure you got that leadership position for a reason, so it's not that you have to really brag. And I don't know. I don't really care for bragging too much because I feel like your work will speak for itself. A lot of times you don't even have to say the kind of person that you are. You don't really have to say or do too much. It'll just show for itself, if that makes any sense. But it is okay to tell people, hey, yeah, I've got this going on. I've done this. But it's all about the energy. The delivery is everything. So you don't want to come across as like a big shot or arrogant, like, you're better than everyone else and things like that. You definitely want to make sure that you make other people feel comfortable, because that way you get more respect, people honor you more, and you just have a lot more going for yourself that way because like I said, that energy will speak for itself. You won't really have to show out or anything like that. um And I don't want anyone to mistake confidence for arrogance. I'm not saying that at all. It's nothing wrong with being confident. Being confident is a great thing because you need to have self-love. If you're not confident in you, then who's going to be confident in you? Exactly. So think of it that way. You're the only one that's calling the shots with this life as far as your vision is concerned. So, of course, you can be as confident as you want when it comes to anything that God has blessed you with. And it's important to showcase those skills every chance that you get. Um, and understand that the more you have a sense of your worth, the easier it'll be to not fall into that egotistical playing field, because I feel like you can lose yourself to ego when you don't really know yourself. But when you do, it's very difficult to do that because like you're stable in who you are, you're set in who you are. It's not that anybody can really tell you who you are or make you feel less than what you are, none of that, because you already know. So having a strong sense of self-worth is really good. And it makes it easier for you to appreciate others. And I think that's important to consider as well. Um, when you're humble, you find it easy to compliment other people. You don't feel a way by complimenting them because you don't see them as competition. And that's what's extremely important, to not view another human being as a form of competition, because we cannot compete with each other. We are here to coexist as one. So it doesn't make any sense for us to really compete against each other.
I'm getting blown now. I'm in my zone now.
Although I do feel like there are versions of healthy competition, that fuel you. And, if you guys have a mutual understanding of what you're doing, then, and all the rules are set up and it's comfortable, then I guess whatever, do whatever makes you happy. But I try not to compete with anyone because it just doesn't make sense. It leads you down the wrong path. Like I said, it starts to make you have ego. It starts to make you feel bad about yourself because you start comparing yourself and you just lose sight of what's important. It's not important to have fame as much as it is to impact the world, if you know what I mean. In my book, I don't know. I feel like there's more longevity behind contributing than there is to just have a name in the world. You know what I mean? Just to have a brand out there. You yourself are a brand. So just having your name out there, that could go away tomorrow. Like that's not promised to stay. But if you're known as someone that contributes heavily and like you're known for what you do and not so much just a name, then I feel like there's more longevity there. And that's what we should be striving for. We should be striving for things that are going to hold weight in the world, because life is far too short. And I'm learning that more and more each day. Life is too short to sacrifice things and people and time, So you just got to really take advantage of time and really do what needs to be done and help others along the way. It's extremely important to help others along the way. While you're growing, why not help someone else to grow? And when you're humble, you don't have a problem doing that. Because like I said, you don't see them as intimidation. They're not intimidating you because if anything, you see potential in them and you help them rise to that potential. That's where that humility stems from. And that's why it's so important to grasp a sense of humility. Um, and understand that a well-developed sense of humility shines in certain behaviors towards other people. You feel affirmed, appreciated, encouraged, validated, and all kinds of really good qualities. You know what I'm saying? So, because in life, like I said, the overall purpose is for us to coexist. And it's always attractive. You attract all the right things when you're humble because I feel like you show gratitude and you just know how to carry yourself appropriately. And God, I don't know if you're God fearing or not, or if you believe in God at all, whatever higher source you believe in or whatever you believe in, sees that and will reward you for the humility. I promise you, because that is deemed as a virtue. So yeah, it's always attractive and it's always going to give you the right things. We draw in more success and love and appreciation when we can step outside of ourselves and acknowledge other people for their hard work or just them being them, period, and validate their perspectives, validate their success, and just, cater to them just like we're catered to. So that's why I said it's good to give back. As long as you're giving back to your community, I feel like you're going to be safe in life. You're set in life. Um, because that's what life is all about. It's about how can you take what you've learned and what you're going through and give it to another person or give it to the world in some way to progress. We're all about progression. Well, at least I would hope that most of us are. But for the most part, I feel like we are. Um, so yeah, that overall progression And understand that none of us have the right to judge anyone necessarily, because we all come from the same source of humanity. We're all born into the world the same way. We may not have the same upbringing, and that's why it's important to try to consider someone else's upbringing and understand that maybe they're just doing the best that they can. Sometimes you just got to chalk it up to that and give people the benefit of the doubt and understand, hey, they're simply just doing the best they can, and that's all you can do. But that judgment, has no place, because then it leaves room for you to start belittling others. You know what I'm saying? So, and other people to start belittling you as well. And that right there is not necessary. That right there is something that we need to get away from, something that we need to draw away from. Because social status means nothing in comparison to our morals and values. It's not worth you risking your morality or your values, just to make a statement. Like it's a better statement to be raw and authentic and to be from a loving standpoint than anything else. When you do things with love in your heart and you do things with good intentions, it works out better for you, and it works out in the best of ways for you, honestly, in life. So that's why I said it's really good to practice these virtues or these standards, because they get you ahead in life. And understand that we have the strength to treat each other with respect. We just have to make the conscious effort to do so. But it's there. We just have to be conscious of it, and that way we can, execute that properly. But you definitely want to treat everyone with respect. And even if someone disrespects you, I don't know, it's a certain way to go about it. Welcome back. You don't have to, mistreat another person necessarily. I don't know, because I believe that everything works out the way it's supposed to in due time. I don't know. So you just kind of have to pull back and just do your thing, be humble, and just let life do what it does best. And that's what it cycles through. Life is a cycle, overall cycle. So that's what you want to take into consideration.
I'm getting blown now. I'm in my zone now.
I actually have some like a list of like a humility list by Mother Teresa, because I look up to her a lot. But yeah, so I actually want to share some of the things that she put out there in terms of humility, and I guess what she believed humility to be, or what it exemplified in her mind. So she said things like, speak as little as possible about yourself. I think a lot of people get this part confused, because that doesn't mean that you just overlook yourself entirely. That doesn't mean that you just put yourself on the back burner and you never speak of yourself. No, it's just you don't do it unnecessarily. Like, you're not all in people's faces with it. You know what I mean? You're not trying to make other people feel small. It is definitely okay to showcase yourself and your talent. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's what we're here for, so that we can be acknowledged. We have to do that in order to succeed in life. There's no way you could get ahead in life if you never tell people who you are, what you do, and what you're about. Like, that's a given. But it's knowing how to like balance that sense of ego that wants to come out, that shadow self that we all have that wants to come and steal the show. That's what's most important. So speak as little as possible about yourself, finding a balance. Keep busy with your own affairs and not those of others. Yeah, it's important to focus on what you're doing, your journey, things like that. And not think that you have, like, you can rule other people's their visions, and not try to have a hand in it too much, because that's up to God, honestly. That's not up to another human being. That is simply God's will. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So if you're a friend and you're concerned for another friend, that's different. You could always take care of your friends. Nothing's wrong with that. But you just can't get too invested when maybe it's just their journey going the way it's supposed to go. You don't want to mess up the timeline. If that makes any sense. You don't want to get too invested. Um yeah, so Do not dwell on the faults of others. I'm not going to read all of them because, I don't know. But that one I feel like is important because we all have flaws. And that's why I said it's good to recognize people for who they are and not just one layer, all layers of them, not just one side, but all sides to a person. Um, because that is truly crucial. You'll learn so much more about the person when you take them in as a whole rather than taking them in for just one side of them, or just seeing them at a certain angle. I don't think it's good to place any type of expectations on a person because you're not leaving room for growth that way. You want to allow them to grow and you want to make sure that you're seeing them for who they are, like I said, and accepting them. Full acceptance is always great in practicing humility. That allows you to be the most humble because, like I said, that could be you today or tomorrow. Put yourself in that person's shoes. Step outside of yourself, step outside of your comfort zone, practice empathy, and understand that, hey, look, this could be me. Like, if it's, for instance, like a homeless person, I don't think it would be cool to pass judgment on them and say, oh, I don't get how you could be homeless. Like, there's so much money to make out here. Like, that is not a humble type of statement. A humble statement would be like, wow, like that could be me today or tomorrow. Let me get on my grind even more so. But in the meantime, let me see how I can help this person. Like, could I help them out with some food, maybe a shelter or, something like that? Or if you have means to money, then by all means, that's up to you. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's not that you're trying to show off or nothing. So if you want to do that, you can. It doesn't have to be that big of a gesture, but it's solely up to you. So you definitely don't want to come across as being above. And a lot of people in this generation do that. Like, they see those who are less fortunate and they're like, oh, I could never do that, or that could never be me. That's a statement that most of the time it might end up being you. If you say, oh, I could never do that, or I'll never do that, or I'm never like that, you got to be careful what you're saying that too, because you'll be surprised at how life works in mysterious ways, how God has a way of showing you lessons like, oh, you thought that could never be you, right? You know what I mean? Good morning, good morning. So yeah, and that's cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's awesome, and I'm sure you did it because it came from your heart, and that's what's most important. Because I'm sure you didn't have a camera crew around you like, oh, let me give this man $300 directly when I have a camera crew set up so we can put it on social media and show out to the world. You know what I mean? That's what people do these days. It's like, either you're doing it because you want to do it or you're doing it for clout. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, these are things that we should just do just because, not because people are watching or we want people to watch or we want to have a certain status in life. Like, I don't know. I've never been that kind of person. There were many a days where I've had homeless people come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, can you please help me?" And I'll walk them into the store. You know what I'm saying? I'll walk them into the store. I'll never forget. I walked this guy around the store. I told him, "Hey, pick out whatever you need," and he picked out a snack or two, something to drink, and I even helped him get a bus. I gave him some money so he can catch the bus and get his ticket and everything, and it was great. And I felt so good because I was like, God, that man's gonna be safe today. He's gonna have a little something in his stomach, not much, but I mean, it's something. Something's better than nothing. He's not gonna be thirsty, and he can find his way to where he's trying to go. And that's all I cared about. Other people were looking at me like I was crazy and all that. I'm like, look, this could be you today or tomorrow. You never know. Life is not promised that way, so I do not look down on anybody like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, but see, I've always felt that way about people, and I don't know. It's something within you. If your heart is there, your heart is there. Like, it's just something you can't help. Like, it should hurt you to see someone down and out like that. I think that should like, it should do something to you mentally, seeing, wow, this individual is really struggling. Like, see them almost as family, like a brother or a sister out on their just on their last lap trying to make it through. You know what I mean? Like, that should be important to you.
I'm getting blown now. I'm in my zone now.
Because you never know where life is going to position you, you know? But yeah, so you just gotta like stick to your guns and just be raw with it. Let me see, what else did she say? She said, oh, yes, be courteous and delicate even when provoked by someone. Now, this is hard. Of course, like I said, this is Mother Teresa talking about these things. And that was a different time period. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's not Mother Teresa. And nor am I trying to be, but I would like to be like minded like that. And I think we all could learn a lot from her. But yeah, even when someone provokes you, having humility would be taking the high road, staying on the high horse and saying, okay, I'm not going to go down to that level and hurt this person, mistreat this person, do things out of spite, whatever. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? That would be taking the high road, and we know what the right things to do are in different situations. Like our gut tells us, hey, don't do that, or yeah, it's okay to do that. You know what I mean? So you can differentiate. Like your sense of discernment is there. I just think a lot of people don't give their own source of discernment a chance, and that's truly important. I think we should all really give that internal dialogue a chance, because most of the time is leading you in the right way, it's leading you in the right direction. You just don't know because you're not fully listening to it. You know what I mean? So have a sense of discernment and understand that sometimes you just got to let stuff be. You can't have a hand in it, because you're going to hurt yourself by putting a hand in certain situations, and just it's not good to put your energy everywhere. So and it took me a long time to learn this type of stuff, because I was always like, oh gosh, like I just wish this and that. But that's ego starts talking to you and saying that you want certain things to happen and all that, and you can't have your way. That's ego. You know what I mean? So you just got to check that ego at the door and be like, no, 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 sir, no, ma'am. I cannot allow you to destroy the situation even further, because the damage has already been done. If the disrespect has already been there, then leave it, let it be. Or if it didn't work out, okay, that's fine. You don't have to do anything about it. Just let God take care of it. Let God help you through the situation. Ask God for guidance. That's the thing I would do. That's what I do most of the time. Just sit back and meditate and reflect and have that self-restraint, and have that self-esteem about yourself to know that better days are on the way. So you don't have to fight every battle. You know what I mean? Every battle does not require your energy, but that's something that we all learn over time, and it's easier said than done. It's definitely easier said than done, because you're going to have your triggers out here. You're going to have people saying different things, doing different things, making you feel away. And it's just like, you got to like really check it. Telling you, it's hard. I understand it's so hard, because we are all very sensitive by nature, no matter who the person is. You are a sensitive being. It's natural. It's a part of your humanity. It's just a trait that we have, sensitivity. Not all of us are sensitive to the same extent. Some more than others, more hypersensitive than others, and that's okay too. You just have to know where you fall in terms of the spectrum. You know what I mean? That's what you should care about most. Okay, understanding the type of person that you are, and understanding that, hey, from a humble standpoint, take a step back. From a humble standpoint, do not invest your energy in everything, and understand that you cannot control everything that happens to you in life. I know that is a hard pill to swallow. I hate thinking about that, or I shouldn't say hate, sorry. I dislike thinking about that. But at the same time, it is what it is. And you're going to get certain wake up calls. You're going to get certain, reality checks, as I like to call them, so that you can resonate with that humility time and time again. Like, this is one thing I know about life. If you are not humble, God will humble you. And I know a lot of us have experienced that. So I know for a fact you felt that before. It's almost like you're standing and you've been seated. Like someone has sat you down and brought you back down to earth. Like, whoa, I think you forgot who's in control here. I think you forgot yourself. And I've had that happen to me many a days. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Caught me slipping. God, excuse me. Seat me down. Let me be seated. You know what I'm saying? Let me get back on this humble train again, Um, So that's important though, to realize that, because Lord, it's a struggle. Um and also, like, knowing when you're right and wrong in a situation. Sometimes it's good to just give in and understand that, like I said, when you have those battles that you just can't fight or you're not supposed to fight, don't do it. Like, every discussion is not worth you being negative to the end about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you just gotta agree to disagree. Sometimes you just gotta let it be what it is and just respect that person's point of view. You may not agree with it necessarily, but that's okay. Let them be them and you continue to be you. You know what I mean? And that's humility. Understanding that you cannot cross those boundaries. You do not have that sense of control. You cannot force your idealisms on another being, nor should you want to. You know what I mean? Let them be their own person, just like you are. You are your own person. You don't want other people forcing their ways of being down your throat. So why would you do the same to another person?
I'm getting blown now. I'm in my zone now.
Now, I never claim to know everything. I'm a human being just like everyone else around me. You know what I mean? I never ever have that conversation with God and say, oh, I know all of this already. I will never talk to God like that, because I'm always like asking questions like, God, what can I do more of? What am I doing wrong? Am I going the right way? Am I helping in the right ways? What could I do? You know what I'm saying? And when you're humble, you have this type of dialogue with God or with yourself or others around you. You always want to ask questions. You always want to learn more. There's always something you can learn from another person. Nobody's better than the next. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if they're well experienced, it's like, hey, let me learn from you. Like, can we set up some type of mentorship or something? You know what I'm saying? And that's where humility comes in at its finest, is learning to be a student of life and not always a teacher of life. Learning to coexist as both a student and a teacher. Teach when it's necessary, but humble yourself down and know how to take the feedback and the constructive criticism when it comes your way so that you can grow. Learn to accept your growth, and that is the only way to grow, is to fully come into acceptance of, hey, I don't know everything, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with not having all the answers. You're not supposed to. There's nothing wrong with not being the best at everything that you do. You're not supposed to. If you were great at everything, what would be the purpose of life, really? If you were perfect, and that's the definition of perfection, A1 with everything, at your best with everything. You never make mistakes. You never have room for improvement. You know everything. You got it all going on. You just everything. You are the golden ticket in life. No. You know what I mean? That's not realistic. Nobody on planet Earth is like that. I don't care who it is. And that's not me trying to take away from people. There's no such thing as a perfect human being. Perfection doesn't even exist. We are imperfect, and that is beautiful. That is what I love most about people, is that they have flaws, because it makes it feel comfortable. It makes you understand that, hey, you are still working on yourself. You are a work in progress. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you got to view yourself every day. So that's why I just tell myself that. So when I mess up, I get mad at myself. Yes, I do. But I'm like, you know what, self? We're just going to do better next time. Just learn from it. Just keep going. Just learn from it. There's no way you could have known. And then don't tell yourself, oh, I could have done better. I should have known better. How? How, if it was your first time encountering something like this? How could you have known better? How could you have done better if it was your first interaction with something like that? You know what I mean? Like, have that humility and understand it's part of being human. Literally, human is in the word humility. If that doesn't tell you that that's exactly what that means, is that you're human to the fullest, I don't know what will. Humility. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be human first in order to even step into that side of yourself. And that is something that we cannot overlook. That's something we can't avoid. Like, we have to have it in order to succeed in life. We have to. It's just a part of the process. It's a beautiful part of the process, because, like I said, when you are open like that, and you are understanding like that, and you are accommodating like that, you don't necessarily conform, but you're a team player. You learn so much more. You grow so much faster, you adapt so much better, and you don't struggle as much. You know what I mean? You don't go through things so harshly because you have a strong sense of what you're doing, because you listen, you pay attention. You don't think, oh, I'm better than this person. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you don't ever think like that. You're like, wow, this person has been through a lot. Let me see if I can, like, you know, compare some of this to what I'm doing. And if I can't, then let me just take this for the future reference. You know what I'm saying? Just take it for future reference. Even if it's something that you haven't been through yet, you never know how that person's knowledge can help you in the long run. Just take the knowledge. There's nothing wrong with taking it. Write it down somewhere or keep it in your subconscious somehow. Just do something with it, because I promise you it's valuable. They're not just saying words just to say it. God doesn't place people around you to talk and waste air. That person, I promise you, that person is saying something that's going to apply to your life at some point, some way, somehow. But it's all about you being open and understanding, registering that God is putting these people in place for you. He's speaking through these people to you. Now, if you choose not to see it that way, then that's fine. You know, learn the hard way then. Be hard headed, be stubborn like I always was, and just don't learn. You know, don't want to learn. That's fine. But over time, hey, everybody got to learn their own way. I'm not going to try to influence none of that. You know what I mean? Because it's your life. You do what you want to do. And that's one thing that God has blessed you with, free will. You have the free will to do whatever you got to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's a blessing. You know, it's a blessing in many ways, but it's only a blessing if you utilize that for the greater good. Free will is awesome because it gives you the room to do what you need to do, not only for yourself, but for other people too. You know, so we got to take care of each other and just please just try to understand people more. You know, think if it were you. You know, just try to be that person for a couple of minutes and think about it and be like, all right, I'm not going to be so hard on this person, or I'm not going to hold a grudge against this person. You know, and I feel like humility and forgiveness, you know, they go together a little bit, because when you're humble, it makes it easier for you to forgive people. You know, because like I said, you understand, you're more compassionate, and you slow things down and you really see the bigger picture. So understand that there are going to be times where it's going to be hard, but you have to have a place of forgiveness in your heart. You know, you have to find a way to come to terms with a lot of things. And yes, a lot of things hurt. And a lot of things are very unfortunate. And a lot of things you don't understand. And you ask God why. But I promise you it was done with a greater purpose, because you weren't taking care of yourself somehow. Something wasn't going right. It wasn't going the way it should. And God puts a stop to things that don't go right. You know what I mean? Only He knows that. I don't know. I can't tell you how and when and where it's going to happen. But just understand that you just got to be open to it and say, all right, God, it's up to you. It's in your hands. I'm just an instrument. Use me as that instrument. Utilize me however you see fit. I'm just here to do your bidding. Not trying to get overly religious in here, but that's how I speak with God, because I'm just an instrument to Him. I'm a puppet to God. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm above none of that, because hell, I'm too scared out here with life to be like that. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, things have humbled me a lot lately. You know, thought I had a good understanding of a lot of things, but I found out I could learn so much more. You know, so if I can help you, by all means, please allow me to do so. And if you can help me, please help me too. You know, so I'm always open to it.
I'm getting blown now. I'm in my zone now.
Hi, I'm Jamie from the Wesofly Morning Show. Be sure to tune in every day at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to get your daily dose of positivity and motivation. So today we talked about humility, being humble. Oh, it's such a great thing to be. Because when you're humble, you can understand other people. It gives you almost similar to empathy in a way, because you learn to listen, you learn to be more of a team player. You just have a different form of understanding versus when you're not humble. You know, because you're modest, you know what you're capable of, but you also recognize what other people are capable of at the same time. So you're working with your strengths as long as it's benefiting others as well. You know what I mean? It's not just to benefit yourself. It's more so to benefit everyone. But it has to be balanced, of course. Not saying you put others before yourself, but you're understanding that other people have needs too. You know what I mean? And you're willing to listen, and you're open to learning from other people. And you understand that the world is just so much more than us alone, you know, on an individual level. It's so much more than that. It's a community overall. You know, we all make up this world. We all have something to offer, and that is what humility shows the most, how much we have going. So just try to be more humble as much as you can. But thank you so much for all the support. Big shout out to you all. If you've subscribed, please do so if you haven't already. And be sure to click that notification bell so that you're notified of every time we upload. And leave us some feedback in the comments. Be happy to hear from you guys. God bless you. Take it one day at a time. You got this. Life is what you make of it. You can do great things, and you will do great things. Stay blessed and stay safe, okay? Bye.
I'm getting blown.